Hello students, today's video will get into how to add details and texture to your Skyline artwork in Gravit. This is the last video in the series. We have already included videos on how to draw the buildings using the pen tool and how to add color and sky using the fill features or properties. Today we're going to focus on details such as buildings, trees, clouds, and to do that we're going to use two different tools. We're going to use the shape tool and we're going to use the freeform tool. Um, the key is that in a traditional painting, those little tiny details help to create a little bit of the vibrancy or the naturalness of the city. So like the repetitive quality of having rows and rows and rows and rows of windows contrasted against that more organic, flowy tree line of like the river. I think this is up in the on Riverside Drive. The key is that you want to think about one layer and adding details to one layer that kind of helps to make that particular area of your artwork stand out. So in this artwork, they've really spent a lot of time adding little details to the Empire State Building to make that stand out. They did also add a cloud, so I'm going to show all of these techniques in a minute. In these two examples from Georgia O'Keeffe, these are obviously actual paintings. You can kind of see the difference between geometric or very repetitive kind of windows, rectangles, squares, boxes versus more flowy, organic, curved clouds. There's also some street lights. She's got a great little sky fade here. This is a very unusual perspective. So with that, let's get into Gravit, and we can get into how to use the shape tool to do these organic and geometric details. All right, so I am here in Gravit. Let me make Okay, so I am here in Gravit. I have my skyline from the previous video. It's got 3 layers of buildings, and then the building layers all overlap a little bit, so there's no gaps. I've also added a sky rectangle fading from purple to blue, so I'm kind of going for that dark nighttime vibe. So I think for this, as I add windows, I want to think about a contrasting color that really will make that stand out. So I'm going to focus on adding details to this layer. And I've still got my reference picture and it's hiding out in here. So I do want to kind of just show you a little bit. This picture has a lot of very repetitive little tiny window boxes. So I am going to try and recreate the feeling some of that checkered window box. But I am also going to borrow the style of some of these other windows. This one has a little curved top. There's also like a water tower or two here. So I'm going to focus on those in my mid-ground layer. So with that, let me hide this picture. So the tool to do that is up here next to the pointer tool. It is the shape tool, and if you click this little arrow next to it, it tells you all kinds of different shapes. So you've got just a straight line, a rectangle, and a circle. You could also use the triangle or polygon to do things like stop signs or the rooftops of buildings. So I'm going to kind of focus on this building here, and then I'll just work out from there. So I'm going to draw a one window, and I'm going to play with the properties of that one window. Right now, it's not really standing out. Zoom in a little bit. It's not really standing out, so I'm going to fill it with kind of like a light pastel yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this a bunch of times. So to copy and paste, it's up here. The shortcuts are copy, Command C, and paste is Command V or Control V and C if you're on a PC or a Chromebook. So let me just copy this once and paste it once. You won't see anything, but it is right on top of the other version. So now I can just slide this one window to the left. The trick for that is if you want to keep it locked, so let me do that again, copy and paste. If I move it, I can kind of move it at random, but if I hold the shift key down while I do that, it kind of locks it in either left, top to bottom, or just 45 degrees. So that's a nice way to make them nice and even. So I'm going to do kind of like 4 windows in a row. Let's do 5. Why not? Because I'm kind of like I just made it to the edge of this building. And I'm going to just copy all of these down. So you can see here that there's rectangle, 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 rectangle. I can press all of these at the same time by just holding down the shift key, and it will select all of them at the same time. And now when I do copy and paste, I'm going to do 5 windows at a time. So it's a very nice way of doing, I'm up to 15 windows, up to 20. That's like perfect, right? So if I wanted to, let's do it again. Copy, paste, scooch this down. But you can see that it kind of blocks the foreground thing. So I just have to make sure I take this layer and move it up above all of these rectangles to the very top. So now it looks like that last window hides. So just checking out the picture, I've got a lot of little tiny windows. I could use that over and over and over again, but I am going to do a couple big windows that have a little curve, and I wanted to do, one example of the water towers. So let me turn off this so I can actually see what I'm up to here. I'll move a little bit over to the side and I'll put a water tower right here. So a water tower would be that, little square with a triangle on top of it. So it's or a rectangle with this. In this case, I'm going to actually take this rectangle and make it a little darker and hit enter. And then I'm going to click and hold and put a little triangle on top. And then just move it so that that triangle kind of fits perfectly on there. The rest of the building. So that's a water tower. And that is how you would use Shape Tool. So you could use it to make skinny windows. You could also use it to make, I'm going to do a few more windows and speed up the video. You can watch along, or I'll see you in a couple of minutes after I add windows to a bunch of these different buildings. And I'm going to use different window shapes for each building and kind of just play around with creating different areas of space. And I could honestly, I'm going to copy this a few times. Anyway, speed up the video, see you in a few seconds. All right, so I have some windows. I don't need I'm not gonna fill the whole thing with windows because it's just like too many rectangles. I might just fill this window though, this building. I just want to do a quick demo on how to do something organic in case you want to do things like the moon or the sun or clouds or trees or birds or anything like that. So if you want to do the moon, obviously the ellipse will be a good one to draw a perfect circle. The key thing to just be careful of is that it's not like smushed like this. So when you're drawing a circle, you want to always hold the shift key down. so that it has, a nice perfect circle. Now the key thing is when you're drawing, it will always put it to the very top. So you want to always make sure that you then move whatever you're doing to the bottom. So an easy way to do that would be to go to Modify, Arrange, and then Send to Back. But now you can see it actually put it behind the sky. So I'm going to just click it and move it up one so that it's behind the buildings, but it's in front of the sky. Some other funky stuff that you can do to make it look more moon-like. There is this feature called Blur that will kind of make it have like a little fuzz to it. I sometimes like to do two copies, like one that's fuzzy, and then edit, copy, edit, paste, and then do one that isn't, and then you kind of get like a little glow to it. But then how to do clouds. So clouds or trees, instead of using the shape tool, there's another tool called the freehand tool, and this is useful for just doing, any shape that isn't quite realistic. And so clouds are usually like flat on the bottom, and then they have a little bit of puff on the top. And now these two clouds are both naturally, it automatically gives it a border. I'm going to just turn off those borders. Sorry. Click this, turn off the border. Now you can see that right now this cloud is blocking this building. So again, I need to right click on it and then just hit Send to Back, or I can press Option down and just kind of go down, 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 down on my arrow keys until I get below. This is going to be a while because I have so many rectangles of windows. So I think it's better to just Send to Back and then do Option forward to just bring it forward. Great. So now I've got a couple clouds, I've got a moon. If I want to make these clouds like look a little ghosty, I can also turn this 100. I can turn this down to like 75, and that will kind of make it blend in. It's really noticeable if you have two clouds over each other or if it's like overlapping the moon. So you can kind of see the moon underneath the clouds, coming out from behind the clouds. I can also just copy and paste, or if I wanted to, let's put that up here. Like that, creates a more balanced composition. And that same technique could be used to do trees. Like if you have a puffy tree down here, I could do some curlies and then just come back around. And now instead of a border, I'm going to just fill it with like, a dark, just like that. I'll make it a little darker. That's a little too big. It's a little too puffy, but it kind of blocks some of the buildings. Maybe if I move it down here, kind of just turn off the border. It looks like a little tree is kind of popping in from the bottom. I don't think I did a puffy enough or jaggedy enough, so let's do another one. Trees are a little crazy and random, that's okay. And then I'll turn off the border, I'll turn on this fill, and voila, make it a little darker. I have a tree down below. And I could copy this, I could move it. Let's just copy, paste, and put another tree over here. Kind of like frame the scene. And we'll just right click, transform, and flip so it's a little opposite. When you're finished, just remember you only need to add details to one layer. Just export, so file, save, and then file, export as JPEG so that you can attach it to your Google Classroom assignment. If you have any questions, please come to support period on Friday, 5th period, 12:40. Hope everybody is safe and well and have a great day.